Welcome to The Profitable Web Designer, a podcast for web designers who want to work less and make more money. I'm your host, Shannon Mattern, founder of the Web Designer Academy, where we've helped hundreds of web designers stop undercharging, overworking, and create profitable, sustainable web design businesses. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Profitable Web Designer podcast. And you are listening to our June 2025 income report. Today, I also have our client success coordinator, Erica Nash, with us, my co-host for these special monthly episodes. So, Erica, welcome to the show.
Hello. Excited.
So every single month on this podcast, we break down the income that we generate in the Web Designer Academy, the expenses, the inflow and the outflow, how the money comes in, how it goes out, all of the lessons learned along the way. And we love just breaking that down and sharing it with you and sharing the journey and the mind trash and the mind trash makeovers and all of the things that we go through just as business owners and entrepreneurs as we go for it and put in all the work to reach our big goals. So the way that this episode works is that Erica is kind of like the interviewer, and she's going to ask me questions about the money, about lessons and insights, and it'll just go where it goes. And it's always so fun for me to listen back to these after the fact, because I'm like, oh, didn't realize I said that, or that came up and that was unexpected. So it's really, really fun. So yeah, anything you want to add, Erica, before we dive into our June 2025 income report?
Yeah, I love that we allow it to just go where it goes. And I think that kind of like you, sometimes I forget, maybe not forget, I don't know, but for lack of a better word, forget like sort of what we talk about. And then I listen back and I'm like, oh, that was really good, or that was really cool, or like I totally forgot we talked about that. And I just don't think that can be accomplished whenever it's totally scripted.
Yeah. And I'll listen back and be like, oh, I needed to hear myself tell myself that again.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's almost like I'm coaching myself through some things as I'm like talking through some of the realizations and lessons and those things. So I find it hugely valuable. I hope everyone listening that you find it hugely valuable as well. And with that, Erica, I'll hand it over to you to kick us off.
Let's go. So first up, what was the total inflow for the month of June and where did it come from?
So the inflow for June was $15,966. And that came from basically all of the normal places that it comes from: payment plans for our Web Designer Academy program, our Next Level Mastermind program, our Marketing Momentum membership, a little bit of affiliate commissions here and there from some summits and different things that I have participated in. It came from a couple of new Web Designer Academy members in joining us in June. So yeah, that's basically where the inflow came from. I'm looking, we have a thing in the Web Designer Academy where you can like join on the payment plan, but then if you pay in full within the first, I want to say 60 days, it could be 60 or 90. I can't remember the exact details, but if you join us on the payment plan and then we have our 30-day trial, and you decide to stay, and then within the first 60 to 90 days, if you want to just make a single payment and pay in full, we give you the pay in full discounted pricing and bonuses. So we had someone take advantage of that and reach out and say, hey, I know I'm in, I know I'm staying, I want to pay in full. And so that was part of that, as someone transitioning from a payment plan to a pay in full. So just a pretty typical month in terms of inflow. I did get my bookkeeper now. So I have a new bookkeeper because at the end of last year, my bookkeeper just like went out of business. And so I'm working with a new company, Exceptional Tax Services. And so now they send me an executive summary every single month, which I haven't mentioned this on the podcast before, but I get to see like comparisons. So my revenue in June is up, like my revenue in June is up over last year by 24%. And then my year to date revenue is up over 20% for 2025 versus 2024. So that's pretty exciting to see that like we're trending in that direction. So, yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And it's just so valuable to be able to see the numbers like that.
Oh yeah, for me to just have the snapshot given to me also and for me to not have to think like, oh, that piece of information would be relevant or valuable, or how are we trending? Have the changes that we've been working so hard to make, are they having an impact? And what does that trend look like? And being able to look at the trends and maybe catch some things before they go off the rails. Obviously, we can't predict the future and we aren't going to be able to head off everything, but just being ahead of things like that, I think is going to be really helpful going forward.
Yeah. Amazing. So, what was the total outflow and where did that go?
The total outflow, $16,049.88, which means we pulled $1,019.80 from our reserves. And again, a pretty standard month in terms of where that outflow went. Our salaries and our payroll taxes and all of that. Plus, I took a very small owner's draw, which I will talk about a little bit later when we talk about things that happened in June. I took a additional owner draw on top of my paycheck and putting money into my retirement. And then it went to the branding work that Erica and I are doing together. So we have basically a marketing line item that includes our brand refresh, podcast production, the work that we do with Zainatane Consulting on our conversion rate optimization and additional services from them for the website redesign project. Let's see, just our general operating expenses, tools and things that we use to run the business. So, pretty standard month in terms of where our expenses went. About $1,200 is going to repayment of my line of credit. And we'll talk about that more too when I talk about like important things that happened in June. So, yeah, pretty standard month in terms of inflow and outflow. I did participate in a summit. I participated in the Women of Web Summit. And after that summit, I hosted like a live training, the Profitable Web Design Business Roadmap training, had people come to that training. I always promote the Web Designer Academy at a special price to those people coming in. I think we had 1 or 2 new people join in June. I need to double check, but I think, let me just check right now so I can like be accurate about this. I should have looked at this before we hit record here. But I have this all in one place now in one spreadsheet. So I can just open up that spreadsheet and look, and I don't have to do any additional like things to look. So we had one person just join in June and one person who we talked to about joining in June who was like, I'm just going to wait till after the 4th of July when you guys are back from our break that we take every July, who enrolled in July, but it was a sales conversation that happened in June and like a verbal yes in June. So that's, I think, why I was like mixing that up.
It counts for June.
It counts for both June and July. It all counts. Yeah. So that's that.
That's that. Yeah. I feel like June, well, first, I feel like June flew by.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like it was like, kind of like you said, it was reflected in the numbers, but it felt like a very normal month.
Yes.
Yeah. Like, I don't know any other words to describe it as. Like, it didn't feel it didn't feel crazy. It didn't feel super extraordinary. It just felt very normal.
Well, so that's interesting
cool.
that it felt normal, because I was looking back at like, well, what did my calendar look like in June? And like, one, I went on vacation for a week in June, and you took over all of our live strategy call hosting duties. And I happened to like go on vacation, like all of our stuff in the Web Designer Academy happens like on Tuesday. And I was like flying out Tuesday and flying home Tuesday. So that's 2 Tuesdays that Erica covered, plus a Wednesday, which is like our next level mastermind day. And so, I just love having you on the team where I can like not have to be like, well, I can never do anything on a Tuesday ever, or I have to cancel calls for everybody. So I love that. So I went on vacation in June. I worked like outside of like our normal day-to-day operations. I was like head down in website redesign land in June.
Yeah.
But still, it just felt like such a normal month, even though upon reflection, looking at like what actually happened, I don't normally go on vacation every single month. I don't normally have, I was adding this up, a 300-page website project to work on.
It was 300
Our
pages? I don't think I
website
knew that.
has so many pages to go through. And we'll talk more about that too. Like between actual pages and posts and old pages that needed a decision made on them, we're talking like over 300 pages to do
Holy
something with.
moly.
So
That's a lot.
yeah, but it's just like, I don't know. It didn't feel like a lot. And I think that that's very telling
Yeah.
as to like where we're
Yeah.
at in this whole process and how we approached it. But that's kind of where I'm like, I am seeing momentum. Like, and I have been for a long time, but to still have all of that revenue coming in and looking at what we're able to do with our time, that's what is momentum. That money that came in was not attached to how I spent my time that month.
Right.
And
Yeah, you
that's
got to take a
the
vacation.
shift. That's the shift. Like I
Yeah.
didn't like, so it was like things that I did months ago created the revenue for this month. And the things that I'm doing this month will create the revenue for future months. And I think that that's the mindset shift we get to, like, that I tried to impart on our Web Designer Academy and Marketing Momentum students, especially, is that the actions you take today create the results 30, 60, 90 days from now, 3, 6, 9 months, a year from now. So don't be so attached to that outreach you're doing today, producing a result for you immediately. It might be a year later that that person's ready to work with you. But if you don't take the action to create it today, you won't experience that momentum in 6 months or in a year.
Yeah. Such a good reminder.
Yeah.
I love it. And I think that's such a great segue into talking about the important things that happened in June. So let's dive in and dive deep into those.
Yeah. So I mentioned that I gave myself a small owner draw, that I have not paid myself above and beyond my W-2 paycheck since 2023. Since I would say there was a few months in 2023 that I didn't take a paycheck at all. And then when I did start taking, I guess I should back up. Before it happened that I didn't take a paycheck at all, I was paying myself my W-2 salary plus an additional $3,000 a month in an owner draw that was not coming through my paycheck to pay myself my total salary. And then things started to get real dicey. And I was like, I just won't pay myself for a few months. I have enough money personally in savings. The business has enough money. The business doesn't have enough money, but I need that. I need to not pay myself so I can like pay the team and whatever. And I know if I just do this for a few months, well, then everything will be fine. I won't have to make any tough decisions, right? Well, that's not the way that happened. Me seeing that I quote unquote couldn't pay myself was actually the writing on the wall that I needed to make a harder decision, like letting go of a team member that I wasn't emotionally ready to make. And I really didn't want to face like what I was seeing in the spring of 2023. So I didn't pay myself for 3 months. And then when I did feel like, okay, I have to start paying myself again, I only paid my W 2 salary through payroll. And I did not re add that $3,000 a month owner draw back on. And I haven't since then. I have not like gotten myself back up to what I was paying myself before that happened. And it's been fine. And it's been fine for us financially, but we have bigger goals financially, personally. So I mentioned last month that I am working with Jen Boss of Peak to Peak Solutions. And we put together this financial plan and we talked about my vision and my goals. And we went really in depth in that on my May income report. So you can go back and listen to that if you want to hear some of the things that happened. And then so after that meeting, Jen and I met again. And our next meeting was all about, okay, now that we have the plan and the numbers and everything laid out, let's start to scenario plan. And like, if you know you're going to break even in 2025, but you have this bigger goal, what are some things that you can do that are easy for you to do to create more revenue now that don't require a whole lot of time, effort, energy, resources, whatever? And so I have a whole list of ideas of things that people have been like telling me that they want. I've been taking our package matrix training on the road. So we have this module inside the Web Designer Academy called the Package Matrix. And I have started speaking about that at summits and at conferences, but we don't teach it separately outside of the Web Designer Academy at the moment. I've tested it with audiences of any kind of service provider. It's working so well. I'm getting text messages and DMs and emails from people that I have like presented this to. I just got one this week from someone and I just replied to their email. They said, by the way, I've been using Package Matrix on my last few sales calls, just closed a $1,200 a month, 12-month contract local client by using the strategy that you shared with me. So like,
So good.
I know. And so that's one of the things that I'm like, obviously people need to like learn this. And it's been on my list of things to do to like do a paid workshop for that. And so many other ideas that I'm like, if I could do them all at once, I would, but they all require a certain level of like runway and planning and creating assets and content and like things to do. So Jen and I were talking and she was like, what if you just did some private coaching? And I'm like, well, people have been asking for that too. And also, another thing that I noticed is some of my current clients and students going to seek private coaching elsewhere. And also, people who have considered working with us in not in Web Designer Academy, but in the Next Level Mastermind, then coming back and saying, hey, I love what you're up to, but I just felt like I needed some one-on-one support. And so I went and found a one-on-one coach. And I'm like, I am missing such a huge opportunity here to support people in a deeper way. They are asking for it. They're going and paying other people for it. Not to say that I'd be the right one-on-one coach for everybody in every scenario. I don't necessarily think that's the case for whatever people's specific goals are. But I'm hearing that that is something that people are wanting. And I have not ever offered one-on-one coaching in my whole entire business because I noticed that when I see a lot of things booked on my calendar, that I get like that feeling I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
I don't know how to articulate the feeling, but the feeling is something like trapped, no freedom,
Mhm.
whatever that feeling is. And so I very intentionally structured my business to operate on a group coaching model where, and it works beautifully for so many other reasons aside from my time freedom, just because people learn from other people things that they didn't know they needed to learn and hear
Mhm.
that day. And that, like, there's so much richness that comes from the group coaching model, but there's also a different kind of richness and experience and vulnerability and just whatever can come from private coaching and one-on-one coaching. So she was like, could you offer one-on-one coaching? And I'm just like, I'm working with her to create progress and momentum. I'm a good student and I'm going to like take the coaching and take the suggestion, even though I feel resistance. And I'm like, I can put together a group coaching program tomorrow. And of course, I talked to Jen on the 19th. I think by that Friday, I had booked my first spot and I booked two in the first week of even offering
Incredible.
this. So that was super fun. But the deal that the scenario that she ran for me, she was like, so here are your goals. One of your goals is to start paying yourself at the level that you were back in early 2023. And the other goal is to pay down your line of credit. And you have been treating those like two mutually exclusive goals that you have to do one before you can do the other. That you can't pay yourself anymore until you're completely debt free. And what you've been doing is trying to come up with the home run thing that's going to pay off the line of credit in one fell swoop, like the good old days when you could do a web designer academy launch and have 20 people join and make $100,000. And there you go, line of credits like done. And then you have 40,000 extra dollars sitting there. She was like, that's what you've been secretly or not so secretly trying to do by like launching a package matrix workshop or a certification program for teaching package matrix to other business coaches, which is another idea that has been so graciously handed to me by colleagues of like, oh my gosh, you should actually also consider this avenue of income. She's like, so what I see you trying to do is to dig out of this hole in one fell swoop. I don't think she said it like this, but this is how I interpreted it, is like, you're actually just not digging out at all if you can't do it
Mm.
all at once. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so right. That's what I've
Wow.
been doing. And she's like, so I want you to make this private coaching offer. Here's how we're going to play with these numbers. She's like, how many do you think you could add to your calendar a week? And I'm like, that's when I started to feel my chest get really, really tight. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't know. I was like, 5. I was like, because that's 5 extra hours on my schedule every week that I have to like be in this chair at this desk or on my laptop from wherever I am, committed to coaching someone. And she's like, do you like coaching? And I was like, I love it. Like, it is my favorite thing to do. I don't dread it at all. It's truly my dream life, but it's that whole thing of like, can I commit 5 hours additional a week on top of everything else that I do
Mhm.
to my schedule? And it's like, I work a lot. I'm not going to lie. I work 10, 12-hour days. They don't feel like work to me because I love what I do. I also know that it's temporary because of the changes that we've made with the branding and the website and all of the things. And like,
Mhm.
that's already coming to an end. And the way that I need to spend my time needs to dramatically shift if I want to reach my financial goals. It cannot be me spending my time the way that I have been spending my time, which we'll talk about a little bit more too, and some conversations that we've had with some of our colleagues and things like that. So she asked me if I loved it. I'm like, of course I love it. Like, it's going to be easy for me to sell, easy for me to deliver. What is going on with this like thing of me looking at my calendar? So of course I take this to my change agents mastermind, and they are able to call me out on it so fast.
Of course.
And I tell them this, and it was either Lee, Dr. Lee, or Alicia, or both of them that said to me, oh, the reason why you're so protective of your time on your work calendar is that you're not being protective of your time outside of your work calendar. And you have some personal things that you have been saying yes to other people that you actually don't really want to be saying yes to. And you're feeling resentful of those things that you're saying yes to, that you feel bad or guilty if you say no. And so you're trying to create freedom within your work schedule when you really need to create freedom in your personal schedule.
Mm.
And I was like, okay. So again, here's the pattern of me not wanting to do the hard thing and have the hard conversations and the tough conversations and potentially make people mad or disappoint them or have them think something about me that I don't want people to think about me. So instead, I'm going to sacrifice myself over here. And once that was made clear to me, I'm like, okay, well, all that calendar anxiety just melted away because I have no real, like, on paper, all of this makes sense. And the deal was for the first 3 coaching clients you take on, you split it 50-50 between your line of credit and yourself. It doesn't go into operating expenses. We're not even counting this. Like, I'll say it in the income reports and stuff. But like when I'm doing projections of how we're spending our money, this is not even like going into operating expenses. It is for tax purpose, like CPA, but like.
Sure.
So we're splitting it 50-50 between paying me and paying the line of credit down. And the first payment I took was a $500 deposit. So after fees come out of that, I was left with $480. And I took $240 of it and I paid it to myself. And I took the other $240 and I paid it to my line of credit immediately. Like as soon as it came in, it got distributed. And it like doesn't feel like enough, right? You know what I mean? It's just like $240, like whatever, but it is the principle of it and the action of doing it. And I got the next one and I'm splitting those payments and like I'm just doing it. And eventually, before I know it, I will look up and it will be done. Because the deal I made with Jen was the first 3 go 50-50. And then the next 2 go 100% to the line of credit. And we figured out by that. And she was like, and then you get to keep it all. And I was like, oh, okay. And then the other thing was she's like, and also these 5 additional hours a week are temporary. You could decide at any time once you've reached this goal to not take on more private coaching clients and to end that or to double the price, because we looked at like what I'm charging for that and like what it is. And she was like, I actually think you could charge double. And I'm like, I know I could, but we're just going to start here because this is the goal. So that was a big thing that happened, that I was able to also, in addition to going on vacation, spending a ton of time working on the content of all of the pages, which does not feel like work to me. It's so fun, but still a lot of time that I was also able to just be like, oh, and by the way, here's a private coaching offer. Who wants it? Sell to. Like, and I'm sure I'll fill up the other 3 pretty fast. So that's one thing.
I love it. I love the work that Jen is doing and just how, I don't know. I mean, it's like making a huge impact. And I think that's probably also partly why June maybe didn't feel quite so heavy. Like you've just kind of expressed to me just like how much better you feel after like having Jen kind of look at everything. And I imagine that took some pressure off. And oh my gosh, I love the private coaching offer. And anybody who works with you on that is just, oh my gosh, going to get so much value out of it.
I had my first one yesterday and it was so fun. So,
Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to hear about it. And this idea of taking that, and I'm going to put this in air quotes, but like small payment towards yourself and towards the line of credit, I think it is such a good illustration of like how marketing works and how like those little bitty actions that really don't feel like enough, that one email that we send a day, it doesn't feel like enough. But then over time, it compounds. And by the end of the year, you've done 365 outreaches or however many you send in a week. And had you not done that, that's a lot. And I'm going to argue that that's probably a lot more than the average web designer sends in a year. So I think it's just a really great illustration of how you can like knock out what looks like a big chunk of whatever with just like one tiny step.
yeah. And I love that analogy to how it compounds over time, like with marketing. And also, like, when I'm seeing this, I wouldn't say it's new, but like looking at my money in a new way, and I'm seeing like, oh, here are all the places that make my chest feel tight when we talk about doing something like this. I could also see the version of me that sold 5 coaching spots and then was like, no, I need to keep all the money in operating expenses for just in case that month
Just in
comes
case.
where everything falls apart. And it's like, if from that place, I'm never going to make any progress.
Mhm.
I have to do the uncomfortable actions of like it not being good enough, it not being enough, and also just like not hoarding it in my little like safety bank account and like actually like taking actions towards the things that I say that I want instead of like only under the perfect circumstances in all of the right conditions when I feel perfectly safe will I then release this money to these other things.
Mhm.
Which when is that day ever going to come? I have to start
Yeah.
taking the actions now and building the trust and the resilience now instead of waiting until the one fell swoop where, oh, I can just knock it all out at once and not have to think about it ever again. I don't think that's realistic. And I
Yeah.
think I could have stayed there for years and just let it hang out there and been like, yep, I'm paying $1,000 a month to nowhere to not have to deal with this problem.
Mhm.
So,
That's such good stuff. Yeah. And I think everything that you just said is so applicable to like to just business in general.
yeah. So that was a pretty big breakthrough. And who knows if by the time you're listening to this, I have coaching spots available. But if you're interested, you can go to webdesigneracademy.com/private coaching and get all of the details on that private coaching offer and book a discovery call with me. And we can talk about what it could look like for us to work together one on one for 90 days and help you achieve one pretty significant goal over the 3 months of working together. So it's so fun.
I
Oh
love
my
it.
gosh.
I love
Like,
it.
I'm like so excited for that work as well. So
Yeah. I think in the entire time I've known you, you've always said coaching is literally my favorite thing. I could do it all day.
well,
And
yeah, and
so
I think that's like the shift that gets to happen for me, right? Is like, how am I spending my time? And there are
Mhm.
lots of things I love to do, but what are the things that are going to like have the biggest impact?
Yeah. And so talking about your time, I just want to touch on really quick your vacation, because this was a really big deal. and the fact that you were able to allow yourself to take a vacation for an entire week and be away from the business. Do you feel like that was a huge milestone?
I feel like it was a big deal that it wasn't a big deal. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah, totally.
Because I feel like you and I have, well, here's what I will say. I feel like it's a big deal that I wasn't feeling like I was burdening you by
Oh, yeah.
going on vacation.
Okay.
And I also know that you've gotten to a point where you're like, I can totally run a live strategy call. Even if you might have
Yeah.
some feelings after the fact about whatever, like as we all do sometimes, where we're like, did that go how I wanted it to go? And I know you had mentioned that. And I'm like, of course, we are always going to have some sort of little hangover when we're like vulnerability hangover when we're doing something that we
Right.
don't normally do and you care so much about it being good.
Mhm.
Like, I can't imagine there ever being like something that you do where I'm like, whoa, Erica, that was
That's really
terrible.
bad.
That was awful. We're never doing that again. But I think that was the big deal for me, that it was just like so easy to be like, hey, guess what? I'm taking this vacation. I won't be available this day, this day. You're like, I got this. Here's how we'll handle it. I'm like, well, cancel this thing. And it was just done. And it wasn't any kind of
Mhm.
like, I didn't have any drama about it at all. I think we even
Amazing.
had something scheduled and we're just like right before, right after, maybe during. And you said to me, like, don't do that from vacation. Let's just move that. And I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we could. Yes, I get to do that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. I think it was the brand refresh
yeah, it was our brand reveal
workshop.
that we're actually
Mhm.
doing in a couple days at the time of this recording. And it'll probably be available on the podcast by the time, or at least in a couple episodes by the time you listen to this. So that was, upon reflection, I was like, of course I can. My whole thought was like, I can work from anywhere and Erica can do these things for me and I'll still keep these things and I'll do them from vacation. And Erica's like, how about you just not do those? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I actually get to control that and let's do that. So I don't think that I felt any type of way about it other than like it didn't even occur to me to not like just do those from wherever I was. So thank you
I
for
love
that
it.
reminder.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just really excited and like I get a front row seat to how hard you work and like all of the time and energy and just like love you pour into the program. And it was time. It was definitely time for you to
We
be able
both
to
needed
just
a
take
break
some
at that
time and
point.
like relax. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
glad you did that.
And, it's a double edged sword when you love what you do for me, because then it's just like, I don't want to stop, but like I need to stop.
Yeah.
So there's that. But like, it's so interesting because like, if working a lot comes from where it came from, like in 2023 and 2024, where it's like this hustle of escaping and trying to like save something, like that is so different than,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this branding and I can't wait to get all of these pages up. And oh, there's like a speaking opportunity. So let me build the speaking page really quick. And oh my gosh, private coaching. Let me like build this private coaching page. And there's just a different vibe that comes along with that. But I will say I have a massage scheduled tomorrow because my shoulders and neck are so tight from all of the computing I've been doing that I need to go get that taken care of. And even though I don't
Mm.
feel stressed or overwhelmed or burnt out or anything, like physically, I can tell, like, hey, Shannon, you've been working too much. You need to check that. And also, what's been on my mind is like, we are in the home stretch of this project, and I get to very intentionally redesign my schedule after this,
Yeah.
which kind of leads me to my next thing. You and I had a meeting with Sarah Noked
Hmm.
from one of our previous podcast episodes. Let me pull up the number so that I can say it, but it's just like 2 or 3 episodes before this one.
July 6th.
And yeah, so Sarah Noked she does the same thing we do at the Web Designer Academy, but for online business managers. And that was episode 149. And that actually came out on July 2nd. Yeah, so episode 149. So she does that for online business managers. And we were chit-chatting. And then after that call, she's like, Shannon, I'd really love to talk to you about how you're spending your time and restructuring it, because in order to get to where we want to go, I have to change what I'm spending my time on. And so we had that conversation, and she was basically talking to Eric and I about like how we need to add a person to our team to do a lot of the administrative trainable tasks that both Eric and I do every month, to free us up to then restructure like how I'm spending my time, how Erica's spending her time. But the thing for me that was really interesting that came out of that was that she was like, Erica would be sourcing, directing, and guiding that person and not me. And I'm like, oh, well, that would save me a ton of time. But Erica would have to be able to shift how she's currently doing things to be able to even have the capacity to do that. So what were your takeaways from that conversation? Because we're like in the early stages of like even we're getting through this project, and we're in the early stages of even visioning what that could look like for us.
Yeah. I mean, Sarah is brilliant and so generous. And I was surprised when she was essentially like put that ball in my court. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, cool. Yeah, that's totally fine. I can definitely do that. But it was a little bit of a surprise. But also, I can see how that really makes sense for the way that we sort of envision like the future of the company, and like you and sort of making sure that your time is spent on things that are growing the business. And I could see where it would be really helpful to have me just take that task and not have you like worry about that at all. And so, yeah, that was a little bit of a shift for me as well. And part of me looks at it, and this is really interesting too. And I haven't really shared this with you, but part of me looks at it and I'm like, I could just do all this. Like, I could just do all that. But then I'm like, I know that that's not true. I know that that's not true. Like, there are things that we've talked about that I would love to do with the community and things like that. And there's just not enough time. And so I can see where bringing someone in is necessary at some point. But there is a little part of me, and that's a part that I continually have to like work on, that's always just like, no, I got it. Like, I can just take it. It's fine. Just give it to me and I'll do it. So,
oh my gosh, me too, though. I'm always like, oh, I could just do this. Like, it's easy for me. It's fun for me. I like doing this. But I do see how that is just maintaining status quo for us.
Exactly. Yeah.
And status quo is great. We have a great status quo around here. Like,
we do.
I love our status quo. And
no complaints.
I think we have a bigger vision for what we're here to do, though.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like we want to have a bigger impact than just status quo.
Yeah.
And I think that's where us really being willing to like work through our discomfort of like, I could just do it, to like, oh, I have to level up my leadership. You have to level up your leadership. And we have to really like be intentional about having systems and processes, and me not just winging it. And there's so many things that we get to do to create the circumstances where that happens, and reimagine both of our roles and what it would look like for both of us to be supported in that way. How crazy is that?
How crazy is that? No more things just living inside our brains.
And I also think you've said this years ago at our first Next Level retreat about how our business, like our quote unquote org chart, is a snowflake and not a hierarchy. And I
Mhm.
think like that plays into this as well. That's just
No,
kind of
yeah,
coming up for me right now, too, as we're kind of talking through this. So I just think that what I'm seeing as we're recording this episode is in a few months, we'll be talking about money, but I think we'll also be talking about like dramatic shifts in how we're spending our time in the business as well. So we'll see what that looks like.
yeah.
I don't know yet,
It's
but
exciting to think
I
about
have to
that.
re-envision it. Yeah, reimagine it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what speaking of time, one of the big ways I was spending my time the past month. So it's actually July 15th when we're recording this. It's our June income report, but our new website is like live and like there for people
Beautiful.
to go look at. It makes me so happy in so many ways. And I was listening back to the May income report, and I said something about how we're working with Zane Attain Consulting, and I hired them above and beyond our normal work to do a lot of like the build of the new website. And I said something like, because I can't be the one building all of the pages and whatever, because I have all of these other things to do. Well, spoiler alert, I could not keep myself from building out all of those pages. And to me, it felt so cathartic to do that. It felt like cleaning out my basement in a way. The Web Designer Academy has been around since 2016. It is 2025. That is 9 years of content, of pages, of experiments, of stuff to go through, make decisions on. I Marie Kondoed our website, like, pulled it all out, looked at it. Does this spark joy? Whatever. And also was able to really like, I am the holder of all of the knowledge of everything that we have ever done to market, grow, support, like everything. It's all in my brain. And by me going through the website and Marie Kondoing it and like getting rid of stuff we don't need and building out all of the pages and putting everything that we're keeping back in like in its home at the guidance of Lee and Jamie at Zane Attain, not like willy nilly. This was all very much like, here's our website strategy. Here are the core pages. Here's the structure. Here's the intent of this page. Here's what should go on this page. That was the first or one of the first couple steps. Erica's role was, I'm going to design this page for you, and here's how the information should be displayed. Then I got to pull all of the information out and like put it in its new home based on like what Erica designed and what Lee and Jamie strategized. And I did not have to think about it. I didn't have to overthink it. I didn't have to make decisions. I didn't have to be like, should we keep this? Does this fit with the strategy? How should this look? It was already all decided for me. I just have to be like, does this fit on this shelf that's already built? Yes or no? Is there another shelf I can put it on? And it made going through 9 years and over 300 pages, if not more, of content so delightful and so fun. And so it's cathartic and rewarding. And to be like, we have some really good stuff that's just been covered in dust,
Mhm.
or we've outgrown that thing and it's okay to let it go.
Yeah.
Not only all of that, but then also being like, now the knowledge no longer lives just within me. It is now memorialized, operationalized here. And I feel like it's almost a closed chapter for me and how I use my brain and spend my time. And I can move forward into spending my time in other ways, knowing that like this thing is going to take over for me, that I've like cleaned up and it's there. So I just don't see how I could have the peace of mind, clarity, and calm going forward to be ahead. And like, I've never really thought of myself as like the visionary because I'm always in the day to day. I'm like, I feel like I can be like more of the visionary now because that is done and handled. And the intent is now other people can operate it. And I don't have to be the operator in the day to day with it anymore. Or like, people won't have to ask me questions because it's all up here. Now it's all there.
Yeah.
And that feels very different and very pivotal and more than just, yeah, I spent a month designing pages for the website.
Yeah. What a huge shift. Truly, like in every way, what a huge shift. And it really makes me think about whenever we first started the brand project and we were on the strategy call, and I asked you what your goals were for the redesign. And one of them was to not rebrand for the next 5 years. And hearing you say that it felt like closing one chapter and starting another feels like that. And that is what we've been working towards. Like we are setting ourselves up. We have set ourselves up for the next 5 years and beyond. Who knows? But certainly for the next five. And just reimagining what this business is, what it looks like, and how we, I don't know, just like function in the world and like with our students. And yeah, I don't know. That was just really exciting to hear you say. And like what an amazing milestone that we've hit. Close one chapter, open the next. It feels like, I don't know, super hopeful. And I mean, we're going to change the world even more than we already have.
Oh, 1,000%.
Yeah.
It's just so, yeah, I don't know. I'm like, I told Lee Scott of Zaynatan Consulting, we were like working on the go live. And of course, best laid plans, we can talk about that all in July about how like we came up with a plan. It did not work. We quickly pivoted. It was fine. But I was saying to her, like, I cannot wait to see the data in 6 months. And I also think that that's a big shift for me. That tells me for sure that I don't have any secret feelings about thinking that, like, on day one of a website redesign going live, that suddenly I'm going to like have so many sales that are going to pay off my line of credit. Like, you know what I mean? To be like, I'm not looking for instant financial results from this redesign. And I don't think that I ever thought that I would have. I would have never thought that I would have, but that could have been a little secret driving core motivator that had Jen not revealed that to me in our work together, that I would have maybe thought that it should happen faster than it reasonably can be expected to. So that's really interesting too. Like, I love that kind of, that I was just like, oh yeah, I'm so excited for what 6 months from now can bring versus, oh, in the week that we turn it on, are we going to get 5 new students? Like, I could see myself having thought that like a year ago.
Yeah. I think that's amazing. Major progress. And so we've talked about some of them, but were there any other big lessons learned or mindset shifts that you want to share?
I think the final one that I noted down, and I'm super curious to have this conversation with you because we chatted about it a little bit over Loom. I noticed myself like talking people out of working with us, or like not understanding why they were at our open house.
Yeah.
I can think of 3 instances where I was just like, you're good if you like, or just like not really like I was in their brain and in their intentions. So you know how I always stay out of your clients' wallets. I was totally in people's minds and brains and like just assuming like, oh, they're just here to see what this is all about. Not that they're actually interested in working with us. They're just like kicking, like not kicking the tires, but like just dipping their toe. They're just curious. They really have, like, I was in their intentions. That's what I'll say. Like, I was like, oh, they're just curious. They're not really interested in working with us. They're just curious. And it happened 3 times. It happened at an open house. It happened on a discovery call that someone booked with me to talk about coming into next level. And it happened on a discovery call for private coaching. So 3 different offers. I noticed myself doing the same thing 3 different times. And after the third time I did it, I messaged you and I made a loom and I was like, hey, Erica, I noticed that like I was doing this weird thing. Curious on like what your thoughts were. So I know I need more support with this. Still, I haven't like fully solved this, but I was curious like what your perspective and thoughts are on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I didn't realize that it had happened in the other 2 areas because I was on the open house call with you and I kind of saw it. And so it was interesting for me to see it like on this side of, I don't know, the call or whatever. And so you said it, and then I was like, oh, yeah, like I totally clocked that. And the thing that I shared with you is that we coach our students all the time on things like if someone is on a call with you, they want to work with you. They might be having drama about like sending out their offer or even having the call in the first place or whatever. And like if somebody books time on your calendar, they want to work with you. And so like we just get to assume that going in. And I mean, I just think it's one of those, I don't know. Do you feel like we talk about like the new level, same devils all the time. So do you feel like this is something that you did at other levels in your business?
Oh, I'm sure, for sure. And I was even listening to the ad that's at the end of this podcast about the open house. And it's like 0 commitment, 0 pressure, just a chance for you to find out if working together is right for you. And I think it's that, like, why do I feel compelled to have to say, if you come to our open house, 0 commitment, 0 pressure? Like,
Yeah.
do I think that having a conversation about working with us is intrinsically pressury? So therefore I have to be like, I promise I won't pressure you. And then when you get in there, I'm going to like back so far off that I'm going to actually just be like, you don't really want to work with us. Like, it's fine. There's, you're fine. You're good. And that's the other thing too, that I like, I'm going to my mastermind on Friday and I probably will have an update on this, or I'm super curious to hear your insight. The women that come to work with us are so freaking brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
They are absolutely incredible. And when I interact with them in a call, there's like part of me that's like, you don't need us. Like, you're so amazing. You could totally go and do this on your own. So there's that part of me that's like, I don't know what that is, because there's the other part of me that knows, because I'm the same way. Obviously, I'm having this conversation right now. We all have stuff we don't see, no matter how brilliant we are, that is standing in between us and our goals.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that it's something around problems versus opportunities, or I have to see you as like, this doesn't even sound the way that like I think about it, but like I have to see you as like broken or needing help, which I don't see any single person in the Web Designer Academy that way. But like, do I think that on a call I need to be like, oh, I see this problem that you have, and because you have this problem, I can help you with that problem, instead of seeing you as like the whole capable human that I already know you are, and I can still help you? Like, was there something going on there? I don't know, but I'm just like, what is it that I'm like, I don't know. That's
Yeah.
kind of where like my mind is baffled by this, because when people come and just join on their own without a conversation with me like that, and they come in, I see them as the whole capable person, and I'm so excited about all of their opportunities. But then when there's like a conversation about it beforehand, I'm like so worried about like being pressury or salesy that I'm like looking for the problem to solve to like compel them to join or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And I'm curious if, and like this is literally just me yapping, but I'm
Give it all
curious
to me, Erica.
if if there's anything about it that's like protective in any sort of way of like not wanting to bring in somebody that maybe you can't help and you want them to like get, and I say can't help in air quotes, but that you feel like if you can't help them, they won't get their money's worth or something along those lines. I'm also curious because I know in the past we've talked about this a little bit where you had like the American Ninja Warrior course set up to like keep people out that you didn't feel like you could help in order to like protect you from having to whatever some of those things were. So I'm curious if it's almost rooted in some of those things since that has come up for you before and we know New Level Same Devils is a real thing. So yeah, I don't know.
I think you are for sure on to something with, we have intentionally dismantled our American Ninja Warrior course of, if you jump through these 17 hoops, then I can feel safe
Yeah.
working with you in our programs. And now that that's not there, I'm finding reasons why you don't need to work with us, because you would have just joined without having to talk to me if you thought it was the right decision. But if we're talking, now I feel like I'm convincing you to do something maybe you don't really want to do. And then if you get in the room and you didn't really want to do it, then I pressured you into making a decision that's not in your best interest. And that feels gross to me. So if you decide on your own, cool. But if I, like I didn't have any part in it all the way up until there by all of the things that I created, said, did digitally, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But if I, in a one-on-one live interaction with you, cause you to decide to join us, then now I am responsible for whatever happens from that point. I hear myself say it and it sounds insane.
I mean, but it's very real, right? Like we literally coached somebody on this last week, I think, like taking extra responsibility on.
Yes.
And that it also that totally tracks with the zero pressure language of the ad. Because if you're not pressuring them, then it's not your fault.
Like if
Quote
recordings
unquote, that
of
they
me
join
or things that I've written or emails help you
are
make
going to
that
pressure
decision,
them.
it wasn't me. What?
Man,
It still
your
was
brain
me.
is
It
just
still was
protecting you.
me.
That's all.
That is so fascinating. I'm so glad we talked about this.
Yeah.
I still think there's like parts I get to work through about that. Like what,
Yeah.
like there's what we call in Next Level a big assumption there, operating there. That's clearly a place that I have my foot on the brake, is in actual one-on-one sales conversations. The way we teach getting over that in the Web Designer Academy is to offer your clients options and let them choose, and not offering like ultimatums, yes or no. And it almost feels like the sales conversation with the Web Designer Academy is a yes or no, quote unquote, ultimatum.
Oh,
And I think that
interesting.
that's where it's a little bit interesting to be like, well, here's how that problem gets solved. You put choices in front of them, but that's not, I don't run the same business as a service
Right.
provider. So how, like, there's these just little pieces. But I don't think for me it's a strategy solution. I think it's a mindset solution.
Yeah, because we've seen the open house as a sales strategy converts really well.
Mm-hmm.
And
But if I'm
so,
going to have
yeah, I
discovery
don't think
calls
that,
for private coaching, I can't be
yeah,
talking people out of private coaching
you
on
don't
my
need
sales
this. You're
call.
fine. For sure. For
You're like,
sure.
wait, why are you here? I don't want to waste your time. I know I can help you, but unless you really, really, really believe I can help you, I'm not going to like really offer to work with you. What?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear what your mastermind says about it as well. See
Yeah,
what
I'll
gets
share
uncovered
with
between
them
now.
your insight about me removing the American Ninja Warrior course. And now, what is it that's making me feel unsafe
Mm-hmm.
to just have a conversation with someone and let them decide one way or the other and not feel like me having that conversation is putting pressure on someone one way or the other, or not feeling overly responsible for whatever happens after that.
Yeah, because logically, that's not the case. But like in your, it's like in your heart, in the heart of your brain, it doesn't know.
Yeah. I'll be interested to hear more of your insights about that. As you hear me say things and maybe notice things, and you can ping me in Slack and
Yeah.
be like, interestingly, Shannon, I noticed
For sure.
this
For
thing.
sure.
So, yeah, that was the last thing I wanted to talk about. And of course, we have to wrap this up because we're moving on to our
Yeah.
Web Designer Academy live strategy call after this. So, any final thoughts, Erica, from you before we close it out?
I don't know. I feel like every episode that we do, personally, like, I feel like I see you grow leaps and bounds. Like, that's how it has felt this year. Like, I admire so much that in your work with Jen, you're experiencing this stuff and you're like, okay, like, I'm going to commit to like doing this or whatever. In your agents of change, your friends will point something out and you're like, okay, done, moving on. Like, we're going to work through this. And it's just admirable. So
Well,
that's all I
thank
wanted
you.
to say.
That reminds me of in Key West, we went snorkeling and we're on this boat with like 25 other people in my little group of 5 people. We get to like I've never been snorkeling in my life. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just like, yep, I'm here. I'm on this boat. Give me the mask, give me the flippers, whatever. Then we get to the place and I'm like starting to get nervous. And the guide looks at us and he points to our group and he goes, you guys are up first. And I was like, so what do we do? Like just walk up to the edge and jump off? And he's like, yep. And I was like, okay. And I just like got up and like went first out of like
Oh,
everybody.
wow.
Cause I'm like, this is what I'm here to do. Like there's no point in like waiting or letting somebody else go first or whatever. I'm like, okay, let's just do it. I'm like a rip the band-aid off kind of person, like when it's like time to just do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of like how I feel about when I'm shown the thing, there's just no point in being wishy-washy about it or dilly-dallying around. Like, let's just go because
Yeah.
why prolong the, I don't know, anxiety?
Yeah, for sure. I'm guilty of that too
So,
much. But I feel like that's the best way to end this episode. Like, this is what I'm here for. So why
so
wait?
good.
So good.
This is what I'm here for. So why wait? Yep. That's it. That's a wrap.
That's it. Yeah.
So
Amazing.
thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you back here next week. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Hey, so before you go, quick question for you. Have you been listening to the podcast for a while and are curious if the Web Designer Academy is right for you? If that sounds like you, request an invitation to our next open house where you'll get to attend our next live strategy call and then take a tour of the program with me and get all of your questions answered. All you got to do to get your invitation is go to webdesigneracademy.com/open house. Fill out a quick form telling me more about your web design business and your goals. And if it looks like I can help, I'll send you a link to join us at our next open house. Zero pressure, zero commitment, just a chance for you to check it out and see if it's the right fit. To get the date and time of our next open house and request your invitation, just go to webdesigneracademy.com/open house. That's webdesigneracademy.com/open house.
This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.